Good evening, everybody. How are you tonight? Thank you, Kathy. One more time. Good evening, everyone. How are you tonight? That's better. Thank you very much. Meeting's adjourned. We'll speak meeting. No. We're going to go ahead and call this meeting in order at 6:32 p.m. November 20th. I want to remind everyone that per the city's rules of decorum, all speakers, members of the audience, and council members are to conduct themselves with decorum and not to engage in conduct that interrupts the orderly conduct of the study session. Study session? What are you guys doing? Council meeting. Sorry. Also, public comment through Zoom will not be allowed until further notice. Public comments would be accepted at the meeting by those physically in attendance at the appropriate time. Mr. Crosby is on Zoom today as he is getting over the wonderful COVID. So tonight, we're very pleased to have once again one of our proud veterans, Pete Serrano, Army Specialist and a Purple Heart recipient, conduct the Pledge of Allegiance for us tonight. Mr. Serrano, if you please. And good evening, Commander Ramirez.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like you to lead me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Active military, first responders, veterans, and law enforcement. That's right. Please lead me in help me with the Pledge of Allegiance. Oh, sorry. And if you're non-military or first responder, please put your hand over. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Let's take a special. Who's a Purple Heart recipient and a combat action badge. You got your cab. I know what that means. So on behalf of a grateful city, I'd like to give you, it's not much, but our gratitude and thanks for what you've done is worth more than what's on paper. I want you to know that. We appreciate you, we honor you, and we thank you from the bottom of our hearts for the sacrifices of all our brothers and sisters that have before us, right? We don't forget our POWs. We don't forget our MIAs. We also don't forget our veterans that have served and signed that blank check for Uncle Sam, for God and country. And you have your Purple Heart. That means a lot. And that sacrifice.
Good.
And I'm sure we'll sit down and tell that story. You probably will tell me an amazing story. Because it looks like if I'm reading your ribbons right, it probably was hand in hand in combat. And I know you probably as an Army Specialist just battled through, especially in Vietnam, with your valor.
Thank you.
God bless. So City of Laverne Certificate of Recognition presented to Pete Serrano. This certificate is presented on behalf of the Laverne City Council to Army Specialist Veteran Pete Serrano with sincere gratitude and appreciation for your dedicated service to our country.
Thank you.
Sir.
We're not going to make you stay, I promise. Thank you very much. Mr. Domer, roll call, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And just a reminder before I do roll call, with Councilmember Crosby virtual, we will have to do roll call votes for every item that we address tonight. So instead of the pushing the button, we'll do roll call. But with that, Councilmember Crosby.
Here.
Councilmember Cash-Fagita,
Here, sir.
Councilmember Johnson,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Lau, Mayor Hepburn.
Present. Thank you, Mr. Domer. Tonight, we have one presentation announcement of the city's success in the Niagara Bottling Perk Your Park campaign for Los Flores Park improvements. Director Duran,
Hey,
congratulations.
thank you. Good evening, council, mayor, and council. Tonight, I'm just going to give everyone a brief update about the Perk Your Park. As you see the picture right here, there is not a PowerPoint presentation, but I wanted to share one element of the park at Las Flores, the south end. In the picture is our Public Works Department, our streets and parks crew, because at the end of the day, they work as a team and they're going to be helping us put this playground together, as well as some of our key community services staff. So that's a picture that you see up there. But I'm going to start with the brief history about Perk Your Park. So in March of 2023, the city seized a grant opportunity with the National Recreation and Park Association, also known as NRPA, and the Niagara Bottling for Perk Your Park. And we successfully secured participation after applying. So typically National Recreation and Parks Association, they send out many grant opportunities, and any opportunity that we have, we do apply. So is one of the options this year. During the June and July, the city stood out as the sole California representative among 9 nationwide cities in the voting campaign. So we were the only city across the nation to be chosen out of 9 others. So, which is pretty cool because we're a little city here. So between August 7th and September 18th, a concentrated effort was made involving the Benita Unified School District, Ronan Elementary, the PTA, which I will say kudos to them and amazing. They shared like every post that we have and reshare. City departments, local media, social media platforms to encourage the daily voting. So again, thank you to everybody who submitted numerous emails, whether it was their work email, their personal email, their family members. It definitely took a village to do this. And with those dedicated efforts, we bore the fruit in September of 2023. I wasn't allowed to officially announce it then, but we were notified we were one of the winning grants of $75,000. And that was over 11,000 nominations through our community, which was amazing. So Las Flores Park is now set to receive $75,000 for Your Park project, one of 3 parks, again, nationwide chosen for this honor. The grant aims to transform Las Flores Park into an inclusive space for children with special needs, incorporating sensory elements, wheelchair accessibility, and upgraded playground equipment, because that playground is well over 25 years old. So this is great. Other grant recipients, just to mention, the other 2 that won this grant were in Georgia and Texas. So just to make mention of that. Plans are underway for a December kickoff meeting with NRPA Niagara, as the project is slated for completion of December of 2024. So we are going to work rapidly on this because playgrounds are typically 8 months out. So we're going to be working on this. Discussions with the school district are also ongoing to share the overall cost of the playground construction, because this is actually one of the playgrounds that Royden Elementary utilizes for their recess. So we're definitely going to utilize hopefully some monies from them, as well as some of Holden's money that he did donate to Las Flores Park. But again, a heartfelt thanks to the extended community for their active participation in Perk Your Park campaign. It was a crucial factor in achieving the remarkable success to this grant. So again, it's pretty cool. Only city in the state of California to win this park, and we couldn't have done it without you guys, without Public Works, Fire, everybody, especially Sparky, because he's the one that kind of helped us do some of those videos. I wasn't thrilled with the videos, but it worked, and it helped us get those 11,000 nominations. So I am here for any comments from council.
I just personally want to say thank you. And none of that, our residents really got involved with this. So it was a combined effort from all of us, and people had multiple accounts for doing it every single day. And your exposure as far as their social media was incredible. And you guys did a fantastic job, and it just adds one more wonderful thing to redo one of our parks for all inclusive. So great job by you, Yvonne. You guys did a fantastic job, and all the other departments. Yeah, very good job. Any other? Just Congratulations. Again, one more. Good. And the next grant is $100 million. Was that it? I just. Pickleball. Thank you again, Director Duran. Now we move on to announcements of upcoming community events. I do have a few cards. Just a real quick one. The boys varsity water polo won not only CF, but they won the championships rounds at Mount Sac this last Saturday. So unbelievable scores. It was 17-6 and 16-4. Rick, is that right? I mean, it was just unbelievable scores, and they just did an amazing job. So we'll be having them before the city council and giving them some certificates, and the team and the coaches, and hopefully all the families, and fill the room up. So congratulations to them. I do have two people with announcements. If anybody wishes to have an announcement, please come up. Kathy Kalusik.
Good evening, everybody. Kathy Kalusek, Vice President of our Laverne Historical Society, here to invite everybody to attend December 16th. We're going to have vintage sale, also baked goods, homemade jams, jellies, marmalades. There'll be book bags, and we're going to have historic home tours. We'll have two historic homes that are around Coons Park. So we will start over at 1711 Bonita Avenue. We'll have vintage items for sale and other goodies, and everybody can check in. Tickets for the home tours are only $10. One of the houses will be the Inman Commodity House. We do hope to have the truck there for everybody to look at. So hopefully that will be where we meet. So it'll be the Samuel Overholzer and Inman Commodity Homes. I also believe we're going to have a talk at Veterans Hall with some history about that, but I don't have that completely positively yet. So, and then there will also be special Friends of the Library book bags, so you can get your book bags and stuff it with all your wonderful purchases. This is one of our big fundraisers, so we hope you all can join us December 16th. It'll be noon to 5 o'clock. And also we're coming towards the end of the year. So those of you who are members, please renew, contact us. It's still only $20 or $25 for couples. And or if you want to join, same price, or $200 for a lifetime membership. Makes it easy. Then you don't even have to think about it. You know, that's what I did.
So lifetime
But,
membership is really what you want to do.
That's what you want to do. Then you don't
One
even have
time
to
done.
bother.
Done.
One and done. And then it's going to good stuff. We're working right now on some display cases that we're going to have displays in the schools throughout our school district. So we're trying to bring history to the kids as well. So we're doing lots of good things. So please join us. Thanks.
Thank you, Kathy. Ivan Gallegos.
Hello, good evening. Yvonne Gallegos, Vice Chair of the Cultural Awareness and Social Inclusion Committee, Cassie. I do want to announce that on December 2nd, which is also the day of the stroll downtown, Cassie and Compassion Laverne are having a cultural festival. This cultural festival will take place from 1 to 5 p.m. It will be in front of the Ludwig Center, right there in the open area, and we will have foods, music, activities for kids, speakers. Yeah, we invite everybody to come. It does start before the stroll and ends before the stroll ends, but we are we have been, speaking with the Old Town vendors and so forth, that they're going to direct people to our cultural festival and vice versa. So it won't be that far of a walk, right from D over to the Ludwig Center over at University of Laverne. So we invite everyone to come by and experience our first ever cultural festival.
Thank you, Yvonne.
Thank you.
Anyone else have anything on announcements? Ms. Beauchamp.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and council and staff. I would like to remind everybody to save the date. Saturday, December 16th is the National Wreaths Across America, and that is the day that we will be posting wreaths at the Laverne Cemetery, beginning at 9 a.m. with a service, and immediately following the service will be the wreaths being placed on the headstones. Tuesday, 11/28 is the last day to order your wreath online. The website is wreathsacrossamerica.org. Or you can contact Colleen Dragovich. She's the Covina chapter first chair regent. Her email address is Colleen, COLLEEND 1776 @gmail.com. You can email her any questions, or if you're interested in doing a large donation for more than several wreaths at a time, and they can coordinate that and make sure that you're recognized at the ceremony as well. Last year, we had a very successful event and we did sell out. So we're hoping to do the same again this year.
Do they know how many there's have been sold? I know last time when I posted, it was like 128.
Yeah. As of 3 o'clock this afternoon, she wasn't able to get me those numbers yet. So I don't know what the total
Doesn't
is.
matter. Just keep donating.
And if it doesn't go to someone in Laverne, it will go to another cemetery, the military base march and other places that recognize many of the veterans, are usually first in line for the wreaths, and then other cemeteries as well. So it will most definitely go to a good cause. And I want to thank the residents for last year because we had such an successful event. So I hope we can do it again. Thank you.
We'll make sure we push it out. Thank you, Danita. Anyone else on announcements in the audience? Okay, we'll move to council.
I have one, Tim. The Laverne Church of the Brethren is having their Christmas concert. I believe that's on the 10th at 4 p.m. Good.
Thank you.
All are welcome.
Any other announcements?
Just wanted to give a quick shout out to the University of Laverne's women's volleyball team for their best season in over a decade. They went 25-5 and went to the Sweet 16 in Wisconsin. But now they're home, but it was the best season they've had in quite some time. So congratulations to those women.
Congratulations.
What division?
Three. I think three. Mr. Kashavagita, any announcements?
No. I always love a good party. You know? I'll be there. I'll be there.
How about announcements, how well the car show
Well,
was?
the car show will wait to the end. But yeah,
Okay, well, you can wait till the end. That's fine. Okay.
that's upcoming new, and then
Okay.
don't high. Is that good? Okay.
That's better when
Thank
you're
God they didn't
talking.
catch all the other stuff I said. I wanted to
That's
sound
okay.
eloquent.
That's good.
We're good now. Thank
Good.
you.
Thank you.
Got it, Mayor.
With that, we thank you for sharing announcements. Now we'll move on to the consent calendar. All items on the consent calendar are routine and will be enacted by one motion unless a member of the city council or member of the audience requests separate discussion. I understand we have Councilmember Johnson, you want to pull item number 10? Is
Yes,
that correct?
I would like to discuss that.
And then also we have another, Ms. Beauchamp would like to pull item number 3. Shall we pull 10 and 3 and then make a motion to approve the consent? Is that correct, Madam City Attorney? Okay, we'll pull 10 and 3 and we'll discuss those after we make our vote. Before we go to consent for a motion, when you see these agenda items and our consent calendar, it's just a lot of nice numbers and stuff, but you don't realize how much work goes behind these things, especially when we're a number of them are agreements and MOUs for our employees, being POA, being CEA, being corporals, and all of the different employee groups that we have. And it involves not only just the employee groups and their representatives, but it also involves our staff, our directors, our city manager, assistant city managers. I know Aaron and many of our staff. And I just want to say thank you because, and also let's not forget that we as a council review everything that comes before them. So this is not just months, it could be years before some of these agreements come to fruition. And I just want to thank the employee groups. I want to thank the staff. And I want to thank our council because a lot of cities have major issues with these and they go to impasse where there's labor issues. And we always want to be fair with all of our employees and all of our employee groups. And I think we do that and we discuss and we talk. And I appreciate City Manager Ken Domer has a different attitude than before coming in to making this happen. And JR, you also, and also our staff that to make this happen, to make it work well with our employee groups. And it just doesn't happen overnight. It takes a long time. So I just want to just put that out there that these things you see here, we do consent in a minute and it takes months, if not years. And I really appreciate all the input from everyone. So with that, I will take a motion. We have to do roll call, correct? Not in our buttons. And take a motion?
Motion.
10 and 3. Second? Oh, roll call, please, Mr. Domer.
Thank you. Councilmember Kashifigita,
Yes.
Member Crosby,
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Lau, Mayor Hepburn.
Yes.
Passes 5-0 for the consent calendar with the exception of items number 10 and 3.
Oh, then, you know what I mean? I was just making it. But yes, right. Mr. Johnson, you pulled item 10. Would you like to speak on that?
You want to do
We could do 3 first. Ms. Beauchamp.
them in order?
Yeah, that's fine.
Good evening, council. I emailed Mr. Jomer and he was able to answer the majority of the questions that I had. My only concern is that as residents, we have voted for you. We trust you to make a decision on our behalf. We understand that Mayor Hepburn is also the president of Southern California Council of Governments, or San Gabriel Valley Council of Governments, to be correct. But other than that, we don't really know what goes on at those meetings. Getting their minutes, they don't have it videoed as easily as the city does. So it's not something as simple as we can watch it after the fact. There's a lot of details. There's a lot of minutia. There's a lot of material that needs to be read and understood. And so, although we trust you here, we don't know the other people that are on that board with you. We don't know the other people that are on that staff, and we don't know what the level of their quality of work is. And I'm not suggesting that it's poor, but when you are unfamiliar with it, you need to question it. And so the fact that the COGS has now implemented the SMIF, it just seems like there's another layer of a buffer between our taxpayer money and how it's decided to be used. And if our city's doing it, that's one thing, but when you've got another third party and then another, group under that, it just starts to, that's when you feel like there's a little bit of a shell game going on. You don't know which direction the dollars are going in. And so I just wanted to make that public record, but Mr. Domer did answer my questions pertaining to this item. So thank you for allowing me to make that comment.
Well, and I think just to that point, and I appreciate that he clarified that, I'll be bringing more information back. I know that I sent Mr. Domer today, the insurance commissioner's deputy came out and talked about with our fire area, and I brought it before the COG, that people not getting insurance and the cost of insurance and reassurance. We'll be putting that, hopefully we can post that out on our website. It's basically a tutorial on how that works. But as far as you're correct, but they are a very good entity. The ACE and the COG, which used to be the construction authority for the grade separations, are now one entity.
Right.
And they're really the reason why we got the $3-4 million. And because we're very tight with our higher electeds, also with SB1 and also active transportation and safety, mobility for residents, especially with the grade separations. We're down to the last 17th or 18th grade separation. And they do a very good job. And we also, I'm part of the construction, capital project and construction committees. And we watch over those. So there are eyes on that too.
Right.
And so in answer to your question, we watch very closely, but I will try to start bringing more information back from the COG, what's going on, how it was transpired and how these decisions are being made and the bodies that make it. They're a very good group of people, very young group. We've got an executive director that's on top of it. As far as that, we've got construction and the ACE people that are on it with the capital projects and construction. So we'll bring in more of that information back as we get it. And to your point, I agree. There's a lot of things that go on. There's a lot of money being spent. And one of my biggest things is, well, how is our tax dollars being spent, especially on these projects? And are they being controlled? And are they on budget, on time? Things like that. So good point.
I was going to reserve it for public comment, but I was going to ask that for people that are actually on the board, either a trustee or a board of directors for whatever organization it may be, if we could have, maybe a 1 or 2 sentence or 1 paragraph, a synopsis of what has been going on, let's say the last month or 2. It doesn't have to be every meeting, but
Right.
just so that the residents have an idea of what it is that our representatives are involved with and how does that benefit our city so that we can understand it better. And then people like me don't have to question it and pull it off your consent every time.
That's a great point.
All right, thank you.
No, it's a very good point, and we'll be doing that in the future. I just became president like a month and a half ago, so we're bringing stuff forward, but yes.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other discussion on item number 3? That's it. We're gonna scratch that item off the thing here. Item 11, was it?
Motion to approve item 3?
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Thank you, Councilmember Kashifagita,
Yes, sir.
Councilmember Crosby,
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Lau, Mayor Hepburn.
Yes.
That item passed 5-0.
Thank you all. Mr. Johnson, item number 10.
I pulled item number 10, because it's a second reading. It's on the agenda. We can discuss it. I would like to see this be moved up a little bit to the 2026 election. That election, we have 3 districts already on the ballot for that election. Add one more measure, it's expensive to it. The way I read it. And that would also give us more time to educate the public as far as the results, if it does pass, isn't going to take effect until after the census and after the new maps drawn. I would just asking if we could move it up to 2026.
Council, well, actually, let's open up the floor. Open up
Do
the
we-
floor. Do we need public comment on this item? I think we do. We've
We
opened it up.
would, after if council wants to defer discussion to hear public comment, we would take public comment, bring it back to council for discussion.
Why don't we defer it? We'll go to public comment. Any public comment on this? Ms. Beauchamp? Should have left you there.
I want to thank Mr. Johnson for asking the date to be moved up. I think that it makes a lot more sense when you have it for the 2026. You get your results, and then you know what exactly you need to do for the implementation of that, rather than do it the year of 2030. And then you'd have a delay because 2030 is the year that it can actually be implemented in. The redistricting and the at-large voting. So if you do it prior to that, then on the 2030 ballot, it is already allowed. If approved, it would be allowed and then can go into effect, whatever, so June 1 or whatever that effective date would be for that election period. So I think that is a wise decision. I thank him for suggesting it.
Thank you, Ms. Beauchamp. Anyone else wish to speak on this? Ms. Kalusik?
Kathy Kalusek, 3rd Street. I agree with the previous decision to wait till 2030 because we are not able to affect any change till actually 2032 after we get the next census. So I still think 2026 is premature and a waste of money. We still don't know what might happen in those years between that time. So I hope that you will stick to your guns and stick with the 2030. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kalusik. Anyone else wish to speak on this item? Kathy. Ms. Newland.
Kathy Newland. Last time at the last meeting, there was talk about it would be too much confusion to do it now. But the confusion we had when that whole thing took place and we went to districts and no mayor, that left everybody in the cold, people that couldn't vote anymore. And then when they wanted to vote, they found out that they lost their vote for mayor. So to me, by doing it in 2026, there's time to explain it. And there's time to put notices out that this is just preliminary, to bring it back in, and the date that we're going to bring it back. But I think that if we didn't do it until then, you're going to have another whole thing of confusion because people don't understand it. But I think having more time to explain it to them and getting it ready for that. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Newland. Anyone else wish to speak on this item? We'll go ahead and, well, we don't have. Close public comment, bring it up to the dais. Mr. Kashafogita, counsel.
When we do such a thing, what costs are we incurring as a result of moving it to 2026? Is it the same thing we're dealing with now, or what are we doing?
So how we determine the cost for if it was to go on in 2024 is the LA County Registrar of Voters has a cost estimation website. And what they do is, because cost really is derived from mailing out the ballots and then the postage of mailing back in ballots and all that. So the cost would be the same because it's an at-large. And now they don't go to 2026 yet. They just have 2024. So I ran 2024 again if there were 3 districts. Each district itself is in the $20,000 range because of the number of residents in the district. But then when you add the at-large, that increases the total, and that increases it from their estimation by about $112,000. I'm assuming it's going to be the same in 2026. But theoretically, you could backtrack some of that cost because if there's not multiple ballots going out, you're, submitting one ballot. So again, it's just an estimation. It would be less than that 112, but to know, for certain, I'm not sure. Theoretically, there is 3 ballots or 3 offices and then an at-large. So you're adding the 2 additional ones at that time, or you're adding 3 in a year when you only elect 2. One of the other things I wanted to clarify is that it wouldn't be 2030. So the census will go on in 2030. And so if this was approved and passed, be it in 2024, 2026, 2030, whenever, it wouldn't be able to be implemented until 2032 because you have to finish the census. And then, of course, the city has to look again at demographics, readjust the district boundaries. And at that time, we would be going from 5 districts to 4 districts and an at-large. So we'd have to adjust the boundaries significantly to accommodate the 4 districts versus 5. So 2032 is the election, the earliest it would be.
My thought was I understand this current election cycle is only 2 of our members, and then we would have to include the other 3 districts. So that makes it much more expensive. When we already have 3 districts on the ballot, to add 2 more would not be as expensive.
Yeah, and again, the estimation software they have is the most complete, but yes, that makes logistical sense or logical sense. 2030 is also 3 districts, but it does make logical sense at that point that you're already going out with 3. It should be a little bit cheaper. We just don't know the exact cost at that point.
We can know it gets more expensive each time.
It always gets more expensive.
We know that
US,
for sure.
U.S. Postal Service, yes.
And we're not going to do a survey that's going to cost the same amount.
No. Mayor Pro Tem Lau.
I appreciate the thought behind that. My concern is still that it's a time a ways, and all the arguments that were brought up by residents and by other people on this dais about the fact that a lot can happen between now and that date in terms of other litigation and other things that can change what the outcome should be. So I think I don't feel that pushing it to 2026 is enough of a push. I think that it was appropriate what was decided unanimously at the last council meeting, that we have this resolution that pushes it to 2030.
Councilmember Crosby. Oh, you're muted. There you go.
I unmuted myself, sorry. Changing the way you guys look at me, you're not looking over to the left anymore. You're looking forward at me. Now you're looking at me 300 times. This changing it from 2030 to 2026. And the first proposal was in 2024, which would be 8 years until it's enacted. Now moving to 2030, it was so that the next election would happen and it would be enacted right for that next period. Moving to 2026 now would move it 6 years away from when it could be enacted as well. And 3 different cycles of elections happening until it can be enacted. I believe that what the council spoke about last time, having it in 2030, so that in 2032, it could be enacted at the next cycle after the residents vote on which way they want to do it is the most appropriate way, so that their vote is heard and then it is done, rather than waiting 3 cycles, 4 cycles until that it can happen.
Thank you, Mr. Crosby. We've been through this already, and I appreciate Mr. Johnson's steadfast on this, and as he and I both did not appreciate the 5 districts, and we wanted a 4 district with an elected mayor, and as he stated, it was taken away from the right of the people at the time back in 72. So I will support Mr. Johnson's 2026. It gives us more time. I do agree. It gives us a couple extra years to go over it and to discuss it and let people know what we're doing, understanding that it's not going to happen until 2032, but at least it gives us a vision. We still don't know what's going to happen with the laws. Some cities are trying to unravel these, but we really don't know how complex is it yet and how the state may come in and, the Equal Rights and the Voters' Rights Act and how that's going to affect things. And I think we're going in uncharted territory, but at the end of the day, it's just a vote of the people to say, yes, we would like that. And then at that point, we may not be around, but at least the people that are here can make that decision at that time. So we need a motion.
I move that we move up the vote for mayor to the 2026 election cycle. And I understand that may be November. I heard there was some talk of possibly moving up the election.
It'll be in the 2026 election cycle. Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
Whichever that is.
Yeah. And just for that, on the it's a resolution. It's not an ordinance, so it doesn't need to come back for a second read. If approved now, then it's approved. For that motion, if seconded, we would just change out the year 2030 with the year 2026.
So
Correct.
That is correct. This is just it would go out on the election, people would say yes or no, and then it would just 2032, then we would revisit, well, whoever would revisit it, probably not us. Is you done with your motion, Mr. Johnson?
Yeah, I would implore us to put it on the 2026 election cycle. Thank you.
I will second that. Roll call vote, please. Mr. Domer.
Councilmember Crosby,
No.
Councilmember Castrovigita,
sorry, Steve. No.
Mayor Pro Tem Lyle, Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Mayor Hepburn.
Yes.
The item fails 2-3.
Now we have to go back to approve the second, which is the original. You know, we have a second on that?
Yes.
You're not pushing buttons, remember? Don't push buttons.
Just the microphone.
Turn your mic on.
I'll second.
Roll call vote,
So
please.
Simple. Sit up.
Councilmember Castavigita?
Yes.
Councilmember Crosby?
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Lau? Mayor Hepburn?
Yes. Thank you. We'll now move on to other matters. We have 4 items tonight. The first matter is an informational item on the proposed mixed-use project at 1941 White Avenue. City Manager Domal, please call forward the staff member who will be reporting.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. I'd like to call forward Candace Bocock to present this item.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and City Council members. The applicant, Mr. Schrader, representing Novapax, has submitted applications to request the redevelopment of the property located at 1941 White Avenue, which can be seen here in the yellow. This is the project site. And I also put the A line up there, or gold line, whatever we want to call it these days. So for reference. The project site is located on White and Arrow Highway, adjacent to the Metrolink San Bernardino line and the Metro A line railroad right-of-way. The site is currently occupied by a 100,000 square foot vacant building that was most recently a paper manufacturing mill. The project site is located within the Old Town Laverne specific plan area and is zoned as mixed use 1. This zoning allows for a mix of commercial and residential and up to 10,000 square feet of neighborhood serving retail uses. The maximum residential density permitted is 60 dwelling units per acre and a maximum height of 72 feet. The project site is also located within the EIFD, the Enhanced Infrastructure Financing District, and any increased assessed value will benefit the EIFD in any future planned projects. The proposed project consists of the development of a 5-story residential building, which will provide a total of 367 dwelling units, including 26 low-income and 18 very low-income affordable housing units, as well as 1,500 square feet of retail space. The proposed project will provide a total of 518 parking spaces in a 6-story parking structure. The dwelling units will range in size from approximately 590 square feet to about 1,300 square feet and will include a variety of studios, 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units. The proposed project is also subject to the California Environmental Quality Act, biological resources, historical, archaeological, cultural resources, transportation, noise, air quality, greenhouse gas emissions, airport land use compatibility, and all of these studies are being completed and peer reviewed by a consultant that has been contracted by the city. The proposed project is consistent with the development standards, density, and the affordable housing requirements outlined in the Old Town Laverne specific plan. The Old Town Laverne specific plan was approved by the city council, and within this plan, it delegated approvals of projects like these to the development review committee. At this time, staff continues to work with the applicant and the environmental consultant to eventually provide the development review committee the necessary information for their review at their meeting early next year. It's recommended that the city council receive and file this project update. The applicant, Mr. Schrader, is here tonight to introduce himself also.
Thank you, Ms. Bocock.
My name is Keith Schrader. I am the president and CEO of Novapax. Excuse me. If you've never heard of our company, I'm not offended or surprised. We are the leading manufacturer of absorbent pads for both the food service and the supermarket industries, as well as healthcare industries, first responders, and the military. We've had the pleasure of operating here in Laverne for over 40 years and have employed roughly 75 people at the site, many of whom work in the area. Excuse me again. We understand that the City Council's adoption of the Old Town Laverne plan occurred in 2013, but the discussion that inspired that effort originally began in 2004 in connection with the Gold Line Station study. The plan resulted in the rezoning of our property on White Avenue to a mixed-use one site, as stated in the staff report. So given this vision for the area around the new Gold Line Station, our company determined it would be wise to undertake the entitlement process for the project Candace just described, so that we can market it to a potential buyer and developer for its highest and best use. That decision brings us to where we are today. We are looking forward to coming before the Design Review Committee early next year. We appreciate the time and effort that the city staff have dedicated to this effort. They are extremely professional and efficient, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have as appropriate for this evening's discussion. And I thank you for your time. One other thing, there was a lot of studies. I think there was 27 studies went into this work. We've been on it about a year. I just want to commend Candace and her staff. I mean, we hired a team of consultants to help us put this together. We wanted to do it very well. And her team has been very responsive as there is a lot of paper. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Council, any questions for staff, gentlemen, or we'll go to public comment first?
I'll go.
We'll call you back if you have any questions. Thank you very much. We'll open up public comment on this item. Anybody wish to speak on this item? Candace? I don't.
If for the public,
26,
if all this could be done
26
at the
low.
microphone, and we'll answer at the end
Yeah,
of public comments.
Please, we got it right. Come on, you just tired of getting up there or what?
No, I'm not a mic hog. I'm sorry, Candace. I just want to answer. You said 367 total residential units, but of those, how many are the affordable housing? And do you know what the percentage is of that?
26,
Thank you.
18. Thank you, Ms. Beauchamp. Anyone else wish to speak on public comment on this item? We'll go ahead and close public comment. We'll bring it up to the dais. Right now, it looks like 26 low and 18 very low is what the numbers are. And that's 367 dwelling units. Yeah, 518 parking spaces, so 12%. Council, Mayor Pro Tem Lau.
So my understanding is this is just to be able to see what can happen or who might be interested in developing this property. This is not, I just want to make it clear for everyone that this is not the plan. These are just some renderings of what it could look like. Is that correct?
So I believe Novapax is going to market the site to developers. Most likely the developer, this is what's going to be approved, hopefully, at the Development Review Committee meeting. So this is what you would see if the developer comes in and buys the property and buys the entitlements.
Okay. So then am I correct in understanding that the evaluation of the height, all those things are in compliance with the zoning?
Correct.
So 5 stories is appropriate for that area.
Yes.
Would it also, whoever purchases it, would they have to look at a traffic study or contribute to anything that might have to deal with infrastructure and how that might be impacted by potentially 300 plus?
That's all being done right now. So it will be ready to go into plan check theoretically, building.
Candace, maybe if you can explain when somebody comes in and gets a project fully entitled, that is the whole kit and caboodle. So all the studies, the environmental, the traffic, et cetera, if you can explain that process.
Yeah, the entitlements will be 100% done. All of the studies will be done. The environmental consultant will sign off on it. The approving body will approve it. Everything that's needed to build the project will be done. Therefore, a developer can come in and say, I want to buy this property. I'm assuming you charge more with the entitlements, all the studies, very expensive studies that are done. And then a developer comes in, buys the project as a whole with the land, and then comes in and starts working with the building department. They building construction drawings. That is what hasn't been approved, is the building construction part. But the plans, the elevations, all of the studies, all of the environmental review, everything will have been done.
Okay, and I seem to recall, and Councilmember Johnson might recall as well, because I think we've had these discussions about the infrastructure in that area and the discussion about, do we underground some of that, thinking ahead, high winds, whatever, is that contemplated as part of this?
Yes.
Yeah, that was an easy answer. Yes.
Question
Mr.
regarding the packing house property. Is that considered a historic structure or going away? What's the status of?
It's in the cultural resources report, but it wasn't determined to be historical. So yes, it will be going away.
Do we have any historical property in Laverne? As far as
Yes.
the age and the use of the facility?
I'm not sure what the determination was. I don't have the cultural resources report in front of me that says it wasn't determined, but.
Okay.
You're talking about the packing house history as far as their citrus history and what's actually there as
Right.
far as the structure and what
if
what
that
it means to,
structure
yeah.
Seemed to be historic
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
how that would be determined.
Sounds like they've determined
year
it
of
already that it's not
construction.
historical, so, yeah. We want to try to keep as many pieces as we possibly can, but I think the University of Laverne's got a number of those packing houses on theirs that they use for storage and some other things, is that correct?
Got one.
Yeah.
Audio.
Yeah. Okay. Councilmember Cash, questions, comments?
I got to turn on this first in order to talk.
That's good. You did it.
No, so simple. I think maybe somebody could put a little
Put
turn
on.
on. Okay. Yeah, appreciate it. Is there any anybody out there that's really interested in? I mean, as the first time I actually see folks from the packing company, which by the way, I grew up there in the city, and I remember seeing a sign right outside your door said how many days since the last accident. I remember that, and I went to work, actually implemented that. I want you to know that for me, that was very important because there was a big old sign in the back. So I do know your facility very well. Well, is there any excitement about this being sold anytime soon? And what can we look forward to?
I think they hope so.
I'm sure they hope so, but I mean, we got the big wigs in the house, so here comes the hard questions. Well,
So,
are you still gonna be
yes.
the CEO then?
Excuse me.
You're gonna sell the whole property, right?
Absolutely.
And the business and everything? Or
Yes.
do you guys have other business?
No, we have moved the business out of this site to a different site.
Somewhere else?
Yes. In
Not
Texas.
Laverne? Texas?
Yeah, El Paso. Yeah, it was.
Texas.
So yes, so the plan is to get the site entitled, as I've learned a lot about a property development project, because I knew nothing a year ago, and I've learned a tremendous, and I needed to learn it. You need to really, in this state, get a property entitled to be able to sell. There is a lot of interest. This is a very good site. There's the Gold Line station will be right across the tracks. So there is a lot of interest, but it helps to move the project forward if it's, it's fully entitled, and that's the plan. And then, so once it's entitled, then we'll put it back out on.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. Councilmember Crosby, comments? No? I like your Christmas motif. Thank you. Tell Marcy we like it. We have had a previous project that a number of years ago that was very similar to this one, and I agree that this suits the needs of the area with the A-line station now that it's called. But I do agree with Mr. Johnson that we do have historical value in our communities. We want to keep those as much as we possibly can. Although that piece of property has to go in one piece, and it's the footprint of that. So I would just hope that we make sure we have some great little neat little shops there. And also we have to do the traffic study, which we had before. There's issues with White Avenue and also Arrow Highway being some of the busiest corridors in Laverne, that we want to make sure that that's in mind on our access and egress in and out, that we are very cautious about that and making sure that our residents are protected. And there's plenty of walkway for to make sure as a grandparent that we have a double wide walkway for a double stroller to make sure that we can push our grandchildren and make sure that there's plenty of room for us to move around and our dogs at the same time. Yes.
Get cross.
And we can get across, and that's a whole nother one. Yes, we can get across because it is, like I say, it's a very, very busy intersection. But as we have known with the Gold Line, now the A line, that most of the communities that it has entered and exited have built these structures and built nice, beautiful housing, and it'll add to our numbers, which is good. I wish we could work on the affordability one a little more because we know how that is right now. But with that, do we need? I just need a motion then.
Yeah, it's receive and file, so.
Oh, receive and file? We don't need, nope, just receive and file. Thank you. Ms. Bocock, thank you very much. We'll move on to the second matter, a request for approval and execution of a memorandum of understanding with the Laverne Police Officers Association authorizing appropriation of the funds. City Manager Domer, please call forward the staff member who will be reporting.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to have J.R.
Thank you, Lisa.
Reynolds provide this staff report.
Thank you, Mayor. And thank you for making some notes earlier in the meeting with the consent calendar. Actually, our MOUs have traditionally been on the consent calendar, but in you know, looking at full transparency and Mr. Domer's new leadership, we thought it was proper to go ahead and put it on tonight. I do have a short PowerPoint presentation for both MOUs, but we'll do the POA one first. Yes, yeah. And also in thanking Mr. Domer, Aaron Beilstein was on the city's negotiation team, puts in a lot of work in doing the research that helps us get to an agreement. Finance staff, Christy Lopez.
If I could just, I want to say one thing that without fail, the first thing we have to make sure is that if it's okay with Christy, it's okay with us. So when the boss says we have the money, we move forward. So I forgot to mention Christy. She is the kingpin of this whole thing. Without her, the faucets don't turn on in the morning. They don't. Yeah.
Knowing Christy, I'm sure she doesn't want that necessarily.
That doesn't
on her
matter.
shoulders, but,
Hey, you took it on, Christy. Sorry. But yeah, we do appreciate that. Thank you. Didn't mean to interrupt.
and also the other department heads, Meg with Public Works, Sam with Police, and obviously we work very closely with them behind the scenes as well to put all these together. So without further ado, see if I can. So for the POA's overview, the current MOU ended in June of this past year, and negotiations on a successor agreement had begun last fall. The city's side was looking for fiscal sustainability and obviously also looking at better budgeting mechanisms. And I'll talk a little bit more about that specific piece in a little bit when we get into the specifics. POA sought to ensure being able to attract new officers and also retain the ones that we currently have. You'll notice in a lot of other cities, there's constant recruitments for police officer positions, much like what we're experiencing in the dispatcher ranks. Luckily, we seem to be more successful in the police officer ranks, and I think that's a tribute to the compensation package that we have, as well as a nice community that's very supportive of law enforcement. And here's some of the specific changes that are being implemented with this proposed MOU. We're transitioning, this is a 2-year agreement, technically going from July 1 of 23 through June of 25. If my math is right. The transition from, this is the point I was talking about, having a better budgeting mechanism. We're transitioning from the traditional median formula calculation and going to a set 3.5% salary increase for officers and corporals in November of 2023, and then 3% for sergeants in November 2023. That doesn't mean that we're not still looking at the median to make sure that we are competitive in the market, but council's specifically aware of how that traditionally was done, but I'll just touch on it real quick, is that we would do the market study basically as of July 1, and then would have to implement it almost automatically without being able to include that in our budgeting process. So doing it this way with the set amounts and paying attention to the median, we're better able to plan and budget. In the second year, all POA members would be receiving a 3%. And then we also looked at special provisions that the POA was requesting in special assignment pay. They were getting $175 a month. That's going up to $250 per month. And then we added a special assignment pay for the FSET assignment. That's our SWAT, our regional task force or not task force, but regional force that we call FSET versus a SWAT that other people might be more familiar with. We also looked at medical insurance contributions. That was a very important thing to not just POA, but all employees, because our medical rates increased, basically about 6% per year. And so that was hitting take-home pay pretty significantly. So just for example, the employee plus family was at $1,300 per month. That's now going to $1,500 per month city contribution. That doesn't cover the full cost of what our family plan is, but obviously that's better than the $1,300. For education pay, we're increasing it 2% over the term of the agreement. So it's going up 1% now in November of 2023, and then it would go up another 1% in July of 2024. And then POA members will, going towards that fiscal sustainability portion that the city was interested in, POA members will begin contributing 0.5% towards PERS as soon as we can get that contract amendment done with PERS. And then again in year 2, basically in July, coinciding with their increase.
Yeah, and to clarify on that, they're contributing 0.5% and another 0.5% towards the employer cost. So the way CalPERS and the pension is, the safety personnel currently pay 9% of their wages towards their share, their normal cost of the pension. And then the city has a higher percentage, a little bit. And then we also have to pick up what's called the unfunded actuarial liability, which this city several years ago did a really good thing about passing the pension obligation bond to keep those costs very low. But so this is the POA. They are now taking on more of the city's share of the pension costs. So they're adding to their own and going from 9 to 9.5, and eventually with the second year, paying 10%, which includes that 1% of the city share.
And then we have a fiscal analysis section in the report. This is basically just the bullets pulled from that report. But compensation increases as a result of the MOU are supported by Measure LV revenues for the POA group. If approved by the city council, appropriations of $118,000 will be added to the general fund for the increased personnel expenses. And I know this looks repetitive, but it's kind of a finance mechanism that you have to appropriate and then plug into the budget. The second bullet, additionally, an appropriation of $118,000 to transfer funds from Measure LV into the general fund will be added to the fiscal year 23-24 budget. And then overall fiscal impact of approved POA changes is roughly $393,547 over the term of the agreement, less the savings from the additional CalPERS pickup on the employer costs.
And Mayor, members of council, just to clarify also on pension, I could probably talk ad nauseum on pension issues and get nauseated by PERS. Yes, PERS does that well enough. But just to clarify, so there's 2 different levels. There's the classic employees. Those are those persons who have been employed by the city before January 1st, 2012. And then there's what's called the PEPRA, which is the Public Employment Pension Reform Act of 2012. So the PEPRA employees are under a different formula and they pay differently. their contribution actually went up by 1% this year. So when we first started the negotiations, we asked for that 0.5 from the entirety. But then when we found out what PERS was actually passing on to the PEPRA, because they can do that by law, we switched it back to just classic only. So everybody is, paying their share. And again, I want to compliment the POA for agreeing to that. That's always a difficult thing, but they were open to it and very helpful on that.
And this is the last slide for POA, looping back to the formal recommendation. It is recommended that the City Council adopt resolution number 2383 approving and authorizing the execution of a memorandum of understanding between the City of Laverne and the Laverne Police Officers Association, appropriate $118,000 from the general fund, and appropriate a transfer of $118,000 from Measure LV to the general fund for the fiscal year 2023-24 budget.
Thank you, JR. I think before we have questions, we'll open up public comment. Come back up. I'm going to open up public comment on this item. Anybody wish to speak on this item? With that, we're going to close public comment and we'll bring it up to the dais. Mr. Cash. Councilmember Cash, comments.
Yes. No, I appreciate the staff and everybody working together from this. It's always important to retain our officers, to take care of our staff. That is the most important thing. Because when we take care of our staff, they can take care of those that they service, which is our community. And I appreciate everybody working together to resolve this. I know it's a tough time for law enforcement as far as recruiting and retention. It's hard to get out there to recruit when other cities give so much more. But the one thing that we give in this city that others don't give it, and I can't speak about everybody else, but I can tell you what I've seen and I know in 24 years doing this in law enforcement is this city really takes care of their cops, and we support our law enforcement and our fire, and we'll continue to do so best way we can. I wish we can get more money because I'd love to pay them more, but best job we can do right now. So thank you, Ken. Thank you, JR. I almost recognize you with your new beard. Thank everybody for participating and working in this sometimes difficult conversation. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Cash. Councilmember Johnson.
I just want to congratulate all of the negotiators on both sides of this agreement. I think it's a win-win for both the employee groups and the city. I do appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Johnson. Councilmember Crosby.
I disagree with my esteemed colleagues have already said, so really appreciate the negotiations on both sides. It's a win-win for the city.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Lau.
In the interest of Thanksgiving week, ditto. Thank you, everybody.
I'll just remind everybody there is no I in team, and this was definitely a team effort, and I really appreciate it. Like I said before, everyone had a stake in it, and I really appreciate it. I do appreciate the hours that council put in with staff to listen and make sure that we listen to everyone and listen to all the employee groups. I will ask for a motion. Is there a motion to approve resolution number 2383, authorizing execution of memorandum of understanding with the Laverne Police Officers Association and authorizing an appropriation of $118,000 from the general fund and authorizing the transfer of the funds from Measure LV back to the general fund for the 2023-24 budget?
I'll second.
Second.
I'll
Roll call
second.
vote, please, Mr. Domer.
Thank you, Councilmember Crosby.
Yes.
Councilmember Castrovigita.
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Lau.
Yes.
Mayor Hepburn.
Yes.
Item passes 5-0.
Thank you all. Now we move on to the third matter, request for approval and execution of the memorandum of understanding with the Laverne City Employees Association and authorizing appropriation of the funds. Mr. Domer, please call forward the staff member who will be reporting.
That will be the bearded JR.
It's not forever. Some of these slides will look familiar to the POA group. Similar to POA, the current MOU term for CEA was also ended in June of 2023, and negotiations began for a successor agreement last fall. Same goals on the city side and similar goals on the CEA side. CEA obviously is a group that's mix of maintenance staff, clerical staff, as well as public safety support staff, including dispatchers and police clerks. So it's different dynamics for sure than strictly dealing with police officers and corporals and sergeants. Here's a summary of some of the items that are proposed in the MOU. Again, a 2-year tentative agreement with CEA. They're transitioning from the median formula to a set 2.5% salary increase for all members in November of 2023. There will be another 2.5% salary increase for members in July of 2024. One very important thing to the CEA membership this past negotiations, and actually has been talked about in several negotiation cycles for council that's been on council for a little while. They wanted to separate out a specific classification for water. Traditionally, we've had maintenance worker classifications in parks, streets, as well as water. Now we'll be carving out and having a specific water utility workers series that will include a 3% increase. In looking at the market, that those water specific positions that we look at and other agencies typically make more. So that's where we ended up in negotiations. Sorry about that. And then also including the water production employees, that similarly, when you look at the market, those positions typically make a little bit more in those comparative positions. For dispatcher, we're looking at adding 2 lead dispatch positions and adding a 5% to those. Basically, we have a communication supervisor position. The lead dispatcher positions will be supporting that supervisor, helping with scheduling, those types of things that our supervisor is very busy doing lots of things, including helping grow and make sure that we have enough dispatchers. And so that will just be something that's extra support for the department. Also looking at post-certification recognition. Currently, dispatchers that have post-certification for communications, it's being recognized at 1.25%. And so now that's moving to 2.5%. You'll see the exact same medical insurance contributions that was done with POA and actually other employee groups earlier this year. And then one thing that's unique to CEA is that they're getting a $750 lump sum signing bonus, and then an additional $750 lump sum bonus in year 2. That's not PERSable. That is just a lump sum straight amount. And then going to the city's fiscal sustainability, CEA members will begin contributing 0.5% of the employer's PERS costs in year 1, and then another 0.5% in year 2. With their fiscal analysis, compensation increases of CEA's MOU are actually supported by not only Measure LV funds, but because it does involve our water and sewer employees, it also is supported by the enterprise and service funds. If approved by the city council, appropriations of $145,272 will be added to the fiscal year 23-24 adopted budget. Additionally, transfer of $99,722 from Measure LV to the general fund, $29,906 from the water fund, and $11,870 from the sewer fund. And lastly, $3,774 from the equipment fund to fiscal year 23-24 adopted budget. Overall fiscal impact of approved CEA changes is $354,700 over the term of the agreement, less the savings of the additional PERS pickup of employer costs. It is recommended that the City Council adopt Resolution number 2384, approving and authorizing the execution of a memorandum of understanding between the City of Laverne and the Laverne City Employees Association, appropriate $99,722 from the general fund, as well as transfer $99,722 from Measure LV to the general fund to the fiscal year 2023-24 adopted budget, appropriate $29,906 from the water fund, $11,870 from the sewer fund, and $3,774 from the equipment fund to fiscal year 23-24 adopted budget.
And the last one that's on the agenda report and the agenda is to authorize the city manager to execute the MOU so we could actually get them paid. So.
Great. Thank you, JR. Appreciate that. I want to remind everybody too, without Measure LV, this would not be happening. So I want to thank the voters for that, all of us included, that voted for Measure LV to support our employees, the wonderful employees we do have in this city. I'm going to open a public comment. Anybody wish to speak on this public comment? Ms. Hepburn, would you like to come up and talk about? Ms. Johnson?
What are you doing?
Oh, we'll hear about it later. I figured, what the heck? The heck? With that, we'll close public comment and move it up the dais. Mayor Pro Tem Lau.
I would just like to echo the thanks. The other thing I did want to point out in case people didn't get to see it, thank you for the presentation, but also thank you for the red line and the clean version so that anyone who had any questions about what the proposals look like, what the changes were, it was easy to follow along. So thank you for that.
Councilmember Johnson.
Again, I appreciate everything that the negotiators on both sides have done for us with this contract.
Councilmember Crosby.
Thank you. There's always a large discussion on our first responders, of course, our police and our fire, but our CEA workers are really behind the scenes, the backbone of the city. So really do appreciate this approval tonight, and that we will be supporting our employees, making sure our sewers are running, making sure our secretary's there, make sure our dispatchers, the true people that are behind the scenes and making sure the city's running. So thank you so much for both teams and getting this approval to us.
Thank you, Mr. Crosby. Councilmember Cash.
Push button, speak here. He stole the words out of my mouth. I was gonna
What,
say,
the sewer
no,
running?
that was one of it. I really
Okay,
appreciate
just
that. It's
checking.
not backing up and hitting me in the.
I know where you were
And,
going.
oh my God, no. But just like Councilmember, my esteemed colleague, Rick Crosby has said, so same, really appreciate it. It is leadership. And I'm thankful that we have good leaders in our city.
Thank you, Councilmember Cash. Again, I'll ditto to the comments from Councilmember Crosby and Councilmember Cash that we have an amazing staff, our CEA with our public works and all of the nuts and bolts that make the city work, our mechanics and our yard work and the work with the community services department. And they all work together, police, fire, everybody works together really well in this city. And there's always a high and a happy high when you see our workers, no matter who they are in the field. And I really appreciate that. That's why we have this small town. That's why we have this little town called Laverne, and it makes it so special. So thank you all. Is there a motion to approve resolution number 2384, approving and authorizing execution of a that's a hard one. Memorandum of understanding with the Laverne City Employees Association and authorizing the appropriation of $29,906 from the water fund, $11,870 from the sewer fund, and $3,774 from the equipment fund to fiscal year 2023-24 adopted budget.
And authorizing the city manager to execute it.
Yeah, you didn't put that there, did you? There is not. It's not. Oh.
Or you can just move the staff recommendation.
And also to approve so the manager, the city manager can adopt this resolution or can fulfill this. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
Vote, please. Roll call. Mr. Domer.
Thank you. Councilmember Crosby,
Yes.
Councilmember Cashfagita,
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Lyle.
Yes.
Mayor Hepburn.
Yes.
That item approves 5-0. And Mayor, before we move on, I want to, first of all, thank all the employee associations. Coming into negotiations in a new city is always I don't know, how do you describe it? Interesting, fearful at times, especially when I came in, I was an unknown, and I think I completely changed around the system. From going from the setting the years and looking at the medium income to saying we have to figure and look at our long-term fiscal sustainability and starting to look at a COLA that we're not setting in the second week of June when our budget should have been already approved or at least drafted, a month and a half beforehand. So the employee groups were questioning at first, but very open to working with management on this. Not so receptive of some things, very receptive of others, but at the end understood and were participants in putting this all together. What I found is that our employees love working in the city. And it's great to be here from a manager knowing that. And I want to make sure that we take care of them and that we can afford them to be here and that we can afford to do the services. There's going to be more differences coming up, and differences, I mean, in a positive way. I'm going to be reaching out to all the bargaining groups, their presidents, to set up meetings so that we can start sharing information, seeing what they need for the next fiscal year, keeping them in the budget loop. One of the units was they didn't know what to do when we handed out to them the costing sheets that we had because they never had it done before. And we all work for the city. Bargaining over labor is basically, fine detail of compensation and working conditions and color of uniforms. And it needs to be done, but we can do it together. And I think we did a great job. So I want to thank all the union presidents, all the negotiating team members, all the members, JR and Aaron. JR and I had to go out to, the corporate yard and meet with the group. And we met with different groups multiple times.
And you didn't have to have a concrete suit.
No. There was some threatening of that, but again, I appreciate their questions. And again, you can't come into a place and shake it up and not expect that. So I do appreciate it, and I look forward to the future. And I think we have a great future, especially under your guys' leadership. So I thank you for the approval.
Well, thank you, Mr. Domer. I think honestly, it's the honesty, transparent is part of it, and bringing the information to all of our employee groups. That's the truth. And we don't lie, cheat, or steal in the city. And I think that's extremely important to have a manager and also all of our employee groups and our administration that work together as a team. Like I said, it's extremely important that what's happening here is the truth and here's what's going on, and let's talk and let's negotiate in good faith. But I do appreciate that on your part. You brought a brand new set of ideas and ideals, and I think that we're a much better place, and I hope that gets even better and just more honesty and more truth. And our employees will be, I can tell you right now, as far as coming from where I came from and being, well, it's almost 8 years now, that I can honestly say that I can walk into any department at any time of the day and people are actually smiling and they're actually happy to be here. Most, I'm sure there's always sometimes when someone's not happy, but have a bad day. But at the end of the day, there's conversation, there's laughter. And that's important when you have a workplace, is people to be happy where they're at, So I do appreciate that. It's definitely made a wonderful change for our city, and it's great for our residents too. So thank you. With that, now we'll move on to the last matter, request for adopting a salary chart for full-time employees and amending resolution 2347, amending the part-time salary chart. City Manager Domer, please call forward the staff member who will be reporting.
Thank you. Now that you have taken the last two actions, I'm going to call JR to introduce this item.
No PowerPoint this time, though. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. With the conclusion of the negotiations for our labor units, a new full-time employee resolution and amended part-time employee resolution and salary table are required to reflect the adjustments in the compensation. One interesting thing, as a result of only needing to adjust 2 part-time positions, classifications, we're not bringing forward a full part-time salary chart for you tonight. We'll actually be coming back in January with minimum wage increases where we will adopt a full part-time schedule. But tonight, since there's only 2 positions, we're just amending that via resolution based on the compaction formula that's included in the lieutenant's MOU. They reached agreement back in July but there's a compaction formula that's tied to sergeants. So that is in the full-time schedule being adjusted, as well as the positions for POA and CEA. The salary increases, the appropriations have already been acted on with the approval of the MOU, so there's not additional action that needs to be taken there. So with that, it is recommended that the city council adopt the attached resolution titled "A Resolution of the City Council of the City of Laverne, County of Los Angeles, State of California, adopting a salary chart for full-time employees, repealing resolution number 2346 and amending resolution number 2347 for part-time employees."
Thank you, JR. I think we'll go to public comment. Any public comment on this item? Not gonna call on them. I got nothing bad. We'll close public comment, bring it up to the dais. Mayor Pro Tem. Well, nope. Mr. Crosby. Councilmember Cash.
Go ahead and speak here. No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. Councilmember Johnson.
Let's vote.
Oh. Okay. Is there a motion to approve resolution number 2384 adopting a salary chart for full-time employees and repealing resolution number 2346 and amending resolution number 2347, amending the part-time salary chart?
So move.
Second. Roll call vote, Mr. Domer.
Councilmember Crosby,
Yes.
Councilmember Castavigita,
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Lau,
Yes.
Mayor Hepburn.
Yes.
That
Thank you.
approved 5-0.
Thank you all. We now move to public comments. Now we'll move on to public comments and oral communications. This is the time set aside to anyone wishing to address the city council on items not listed on the agenda, but within the subject matter jurisdiction of the city council. I want to remind everyone that the Brown Act prohibits the city council from engaging in discussion on any item not appearing on the posted agenda unless it has to do with dog poop. However, your concerns may be referred to staff or placed for discussion at a later date. There's a 3-minute time limit, maybe. At this time, those wishing to make comment, please come up to the podium. Miss Hepburn.
Oh,
She started to get Miss Beauchamp. Ay, ay, ay.
Not walking. I want to get caught up in any sort of this.
Okay, I have several things. I just real quick. Thank you again to Cash to get the military personnel to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. And thank you for listening to my recommendation about adding it to the agenda and making it official city business. I would ask for one more thing, that we have like a small bio of the people who are doing the lead to the Pledge of Allegiance. I was speaking with that gentleman earlier tonight, and knowing that he was a Purple Heart recipient, that really speaks volumes. And I mean, all our personnel should be recognized. It's unfortunate that the only time we learn about them is when there's an official proclamation and or when they pass away and you're reading their bio at the end of the meeting. So I think it would be better for the residents to know the military that live in our city and are part of the Veterans Hall, to have more information about them, and that way we can recognize them and appreciate them that much more. Secondly, I would like to say, I hope Councilmember Rick is feeling better. He's my representative, and thank you. I wanted to officially thank him again, and Mr. Johnson for the nominations. I was approved to be on the Measure LV committee, which leads me into my comment. After just one meeting with Christy Lopez, the Director of Finance, I feel like I'm an accountant. That woman is amazing. The graphs and the explanation, I can only imagine how much work her and her staff put in. So when this council tells you that they are working their tails off, it's the truth, because I saw it firsthand at that meeting last week. So I look forward to participating on that committee. Thank you again for that. And to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Beauchamp. Anyone else on public comment? Come on up, Gary. How are you?
I'm good.
Have you been behaving yourself on dropping
right.
stuff on people's lawns?
That's right, yeah.
Returning.
Yeah,
Returning deposits.
Exactly.
That was good.
Just a reminder, Chelsea Footbridge, all the bushes, they need a haircut.
She's taking it down right now, Gary.
That's all I got.
Thank you
Uh-huh.
very much.
I'll go back and sit down and shut up.
And a few words. I like that. Thank you, Gary. Anyone else on public comment? Yvonne? Oh, got a laptop. Oh.
Yeah, laptop, phone, Word document.
Trouble.
Be afraid. Okay. Okay, what I would like to say is something that everybody may not know about, but if you are someone that's on social media or pay attention to news in the surrounding cities, I would like to address this council about an open letter that the mayor of San Dimas wrote to his community. I would also like to see something like this from our mayor and from our council and from our city manager. And I'll briefly read a little bit about it. The city manager posted it because the open letter being read at the city council meeting in San Dimas, I believe on November 14th, really moved him. So what I'd like to read to you, and again, I'll be respectful of my 3 minutes. The city manager posted that yesterday evening during the November 14th city council meeting, the mayor read aloud an open letter addressing the community's commitment to denounce hatred and violence. He says that the contents of this letter have deeply resonated with him as the city manager, compelling him to share it with the organization and the entire San Dimas community. So the mayor of San Dimas, the letter that he wrote aloud, or read aloud, excuse me, at that city council meeting, he wrote in general about, I'm speaking today not as just your mayor, but as a fellow member of our vibrant community. Instances of hate and violence targeted at individuals based on their race, ethnicity, religion, gender, sexual orientation, or any other protected characteristic have been occurring across the world. I want to take this opportunity to unequivocally denounce these acts of hatred and violence. San Dimas is a community built on the principles of respect. Our strength lies in our ability to embrace the differences that make each one of us unique. Now I can go on, but you get the gist of what this letter from the mayor goes on to say. So I would like to ask our mayor and our city manager and our city council to consider making a proclamation or a resolution just really condemning hate, because I think especially with this city, right? I mean, because I'm a resident, what do we stand for if we don't stand to condemn hate in our city? Okay. Words matter. I can stand up here and talk about this. You all can sit there and talk about, what a great city that Laverne is, and we don't have any, type of issues, racism, hatred, etc. But I do believe that actions matter, right? Our words are heard, but our actions speak louder than our words. So to stand firmly against hate, I think would be a really beautiful thing for the city. Also, one more thing. Last Tuesday, the University of Laverne had a community partner event, and Cassie, the Cultural Awareness and Social Inclusion Committee, was lucky enough to be invited to that. So we had a table and we got to meet a lot of students, get a lot of signups, talk to students about what Cassie does and what Cassie stands for. There were other, other groups from the city there as well. A lady who is a resident of the city of Laverne, she did come to the table and talk to me and showed me a piece of paper that she had. She lives over off of Damien Avenue, and she showed me a piece of paper that she had that was given to her, and it simply read that Claremont, Upland, Alhambra, Monrovia, Sierra Madre, San Gabriel, Temple City, Whittier, Pasadena, Diamond Bar, Walnut, South Pasadena, Ontario, Glendale, Pomona, Arcadia, Rosemead, Glendora, Monterey Park, Covina, and Montclair. A total of 21 cities within the San Gabriel Valley had signed on to the American Jewish Committee, the U.S. Conference of Mayors statement to combat anti-Semitism. Now, I had to do some research because what she showed me was just, a document. It didn't really have a lot of identification as to who was proposing this or who was, sponsoring this. And it said, if your city is not on this list, please, go out and ask them why. So I did do some research on this and I found out where it came from. According to the website of the Jewish Federation of Greater San Gabriel Valley and Pomona Valleys, they did send a letter in March to 48 cities within the San Gabriel Valley. It said that they sent the letter to all council members and to mayors. So I'm curious as if you did receive a letter from them and where that might be in standing. And I am speaking about this on behalf of this resident who did come to the table and show me this document. So, I think it's something that she would be interested in finding out, especially, since she came to the Cassie table to make sure I was aware that Laverne's name was not on this list. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Yvonne. Anyone else wish to speak in public comment? With that, we'll close public comment, bring it up to the dais. Councilmember Crosby.
Thank you. Thank you, council, for allowing me to do this remotely today. This is my last day of quarantine and I can be out in the community tomorrow. I appreciate all the well-beings. I appreciate that. Mr. Johnson and Mayor Hepburn, I know you like to bring your wives to such great events as you did tonight. Yuletide, Bonita choral singers will be singing on December 9th at 2 p.m. and 7 p.m. at the Bonita their Performing Arts Center there in San Dimas. So bring them there to see some great singing as well. And on next Tuesday, our YFAC meeting will be happening as well. So thank you, everyone, and appreciate you guys giving me this time.
Thank you, Councilmember Crosby. Councilmember Cash.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate everybody for coming out tonight and another great city council meeting. As far as some past events that's happened, we had a great time, really great time over at the Cruisin' Laverne 2023. We did our A Minute with the Mayor live reporting.
You sat with Santa? Mrs. Santa?
I just want you to know that I was so proud of Councilmember Johnson. He sat on Santa's lap and asked for a wish. I'll tell you later. What he wants for Christmas.
I don't know. We'll have to ask Mrs. Johnson.
I don't know. We'll see what happens. But overall great. And as far as I attended the San Gabriel Valley Vector Control Board with the buzz. So I am now the vice president of it. I guess I was.
Are you going to wear the suit?
Yes.
Remember, it's a female mosquito, but it's okay.
I'm down. I'll be buzzing around everywhere. But what I did want to do is I want to bring back some of the information. I'm not a scientist by any means. I play one on TV, but they are going to come out and talk about this new disease that's out there. It's too much for me to explain because I really don't know it all.
Dengue fever.
Yes, dengue. So I don't want to scare everybody, but anyways, let them come and scare you because I don't. That's what happened so far. So far, so good. Still out there with the community. Best I can reach out to those in my district. We just had an accident right there on Fruit and Wheeler. I'm glad that the lady's okay. She maybe took a turn a little too hard, a little too fast, and right there at that intersection. So she's okay. I think she's didn't do well, but the residents were a little shook up. And I appreciate the fire department response out there, because if that fire would have gone any longer, would have been really detrimental, because that palm tree would have caught on fire completely. So thank you for our fire department and response out there. We really appreciate you. And so I had happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Give thanks to our Lord every day for allowing me to be here, and for my family and for my extended family here in Laverne. So stay strong.
Thank you, Councilmember Cash. Councilmember Johnson.
I wanted to wish everybody a happy and safe Thanksgiving. We had our first one last night, which with the Castellano family. That was wonderful. I have another one with the Johnsons Thursday. Please have a safe Thanksgiving. Drive safely. Watch out for other cars.
Thank you, Councilmember Johnson. Mayor Pro Tem Lau.
Just wanted to share, over the course of the last couple of weeks, we've had a couple of grand openings and some special events. So if you haven't had a chance to go out and visit these new businesses, we have French Press Coffee over in the Katie's Pet Depot area. It's super cute. And the coffee's really good. Right next to Chubby's ice cream is what I'm being whispered. And Crumble. So if you like cookies, Crumble is open over by Blaze. And the folks that own Crumble are parents of some Bonita High School students. So pretty cool. So check them out if you need a sweet treat for Thanksgiving or any other day. Also just wanted to shout out the Veterans Day event that took place last week. One of the items that was brought up that I wanted to share, and I apologize, I don't have her name, but one of the service women who is in the VFW at that post was trying to encourage other women service members to join the VFW. And she was really, had a lot to say about all the benefits of being a part of the VFW, the services, especially if you're transitioning from military life to civilian life. There is that transition of your structure and how you go through things. So she's mentioned that the VFW had done a great job helping folks transition from military life to back to civilian life. So if you have any servicemen and women in your lives that maybe have not joined the post, I would encourage them to do so. And for those of you who don't know, the University of Laverne also has a Veterans Success Center that also helps veterans as they are trying to find their way post-military career. The other thing I would bring up is that there is still a shortage of blood. So if you have the means, it is the season of giving. So consider giving the gift of life by donating blood. I will also say something that I unfortunately learned not too long ago. A college friend of mine, his son who has leukemia, was in remission, is come back, and they're trying to find a match for a stem cell transplant. And ethnicity does matter. You're more likely to match with someone who is of the same ethnicity. And so he's mixed. He's white and he's Filipino. And so there's already a very low number of people who actually take the time to get tested and offer to donate. So if you have people in your lives that would be willing to, because they are looking for donors between 18 and 35, because young, healthy, much more likelihood of a successful transplant, but just something to think about, because I think that just breaks my heart to think that someone could have the gift of life, but for just lack of knowledge or just lack of people willing to step up and donate blood or, stem cells or marrow or whatever. But think about that as we're going into the giving season. And with that, one last thing that's just a piece of information. For those of you who have been anxiously awaiting a code enforcement officer, one has been hired. So his name is Ron D'Alessandro. I'm going to get this right. But his information is on the city's website. So if you do notice any code violations, that would be the person that you would reach out to. And he's been already a great help in cleaning up parts of the city that need to be cleaned up because of various code violations. So with that, be kind, have a happy and safe Thanksgiving, and we'll see you when we get back.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Lau. One of the things that Councilmember Cash was talking about is safety as far as with the time change, 5 o'clock, 5:30, it's dark out there. So if you are, and in the mornings, it doesn't get light until 6:20, 6:30-ish. If you're out there, please wear bright colors, light up, blinking lights. Make sure that you stay on the streets. Make sure you, not the streets, but stay on the sidewalks. And make sure you watch for the traffic because, and also now with the kids are out and you can hear them playing all the time. Be very careful. Slow down. Be careful. It's dark out there. Things change. Just take your time. And don't be in a big rush. It's not a good idea. Also, shop local. We've got, as Councilmember Lau stated, we have a lot of new businesses, electric bikes. We have French Press. We have wonderful, wonderful places here that you can buy gifts. We got some big department stores. Keep your money local. Gas up, eat here, stay here, you know, eat, pray, and go to eat, pray, and shop here. Because that's Measure LV works because of the fact that we all shop and stay in this community and support our local businesses, our small businesses is extremely important. But most of all, I want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy your families. If you can, reach out to them. Those ones you haven't seen, phone call, or go and visit. Have great meals. Buy your meals here though first, please. Go ahead. You forgot one.
So I forgot one. I'm so sorry. But I do want to thank my esteemed colleagues for chipping in to do our Canine Foundation tree. So if you are participating at the Canine Foundation dinner, in the words of Mayor Tim Hepburn, you know, we want you to eat, gas up, you know, drink, be merry in Laverne. So our tree
Legally.
legally, yes. Get a DD, call an Uber. But
Yes.
we did do all businesses in Laverne. So if you do purchase or our tree or win our tree, it will be so that you can stay here and spend money in our lovely city.
And also, if they want to know anything that's going on in our city, go on our website. We've revamped that a number of times. We keep adding to it. Businesses, especially our Chamber of Commerce, I think it's still restaurant week, or is it over? Is that over? No, there was something they're promoting. But check with the Chamber of Commerce. There's always something going on to support our local businesses, and also on our website, what's going on, our calendar of events. Our next, you know, we're going to have our tree lighting ceremony and the chamber singers, Bonita Chamber Singers there. Just a lot of things going on in the community. Monero Square. We have our story time, just a ton of great stuff. And this time, just like we had in Halloween. So we do an amazing job with our city and our staff with a lot of these wonderful holidays that are coming up. So with that, our next regular Laverne City Council meeting is on Monday, December 4th, 2023 at 6:30 p.m. Please note at 6 o'clock p.m. we'll be holding our annual holiday tree lighting ceremony here at City Hall. We invite all of you to attend. We have carolers and expect a very important person, Santa Claus, to attend. As a reminder, upcoming events and meetings are posted on the last page of the City Council agenda. And on behalf of the City Council, I want to wish everyone a very safe and happy Thanksgiving. And we will adjourn right now at 8:18 p.m. Thank you all. Take care, Gary.